Well, hey, y'all. My name is Willie Lawson, and welcome to the Fight Back Media YouTube channel. We appreciate you being here. This is YouTube only content. This is not, saved and shared from another place. This is specifically for the YouTube channel. We're going to try to do a lot of very specific content for specific places in 2021. Like I won't record our Stitch to play here because I want you to go and join us on Stitch, because what we're trying to do here at Fight Back Media is something that I don't think a lot of people are really concentrating on. You have to, sometimes we have to take a page out of faith organization books, where sometimes you just have to meet people where they are. A lot of people are like posting on Facebook, and they want everybody to come to their Facebook page, or and that kind of stuff, and that kind of works for some people, but I don't think you get everybody. I think that what a lot of what we're seeing is what we've been saying for a long time. Conservatives do a lot of preaching to the choir. There's a reason why the pastor preaches to the congregation and not the choir. There's a reason for that, because hopefully the choir doesn't need it, and it's the congregation that needs it. The people who are outside of the four walls who need it. So that's what we're hoping. Fight Back Media is hoping to reach, and hopefully that's evident by you watching this video. So I'll go ahead and get to the meat of it. You saw the title. We have to know what we are battling, and we are in a battle in 2021. Breitbart said it. We are in a battle for the soul of the republic. A lot of people ask me, what kind of conservative are you? What kind of Republican are you? And I find myself being a Herman Cain, Andrew Breitbart Republican. And one of the things that that Herman Cain said at a meeting that we attended once was that stupid people are ruining this country. And if you ever heard Mr. Cain speak, or if you knew Mr. Cain, what you knew is that he wasn't saying that in a mean sense, but he wanted to get the point across that there were people who were listening and acting on things that didn't quite make any sense. And I think that he was in a generation that the word stupid wasn't a curse word. You know how now if your kid said stupid, like, ooh, you shouldn't say stupid. You shouldn't say call anybody stupid. That's not nice. Remember? No, y'all don't remember that. But in any case, so his idea that stupid people are ruining this country, combined with how easily a lot of people in this nation are led by and tossed around mentally and intellectually by media, choosing to ignore what is right there in their face, just choosing to ignore it because it's so much easier to go along with the crowd. It's just so much easier. And if you don't believe that people do that, check out the ASH study that basically showed that when faced with pressure, people will ignore what they are sure of as fact, not to stick out. Maybe you've done it in your life already. Maybe you know people who do that on a regular basis. So let's talk about, and I'm going to split these videos up, and I want to talk about different things in each of the videos. Let's talk about COVID, because we got to talk about what we're in the battle against. Let's talk about COVID-19. We've been in a death battle with COVID-19 for now almost a year. And the latest word now is back to what the original word was. The CDC doesn't necessarily want people who are asymptomatic just to be taking tests. Just go get a test. because you're afraid. Because you may have been around someone who had a cousin that might have been around somebody who had a nephew, who might have been around somebody who had a half sister, who might have been around somebody who was a vagrant, that might have been around somebody who saw somebody who might have been around somebody who got COVID. So you go and freak out and run and get a test. So the CDC doesn't want that to happen right now. And that's how we were before. But why don't they want you to do that now? This is part of what we're dealing with. They don't want you to do that because the more people who get tested, the more cases there are. And right now, because Joe Biden is president and Kamala Harris is vice president, and they were supposed to be the Jesus and the Paul of Corona, they want cases to decrease because New York needs to open, and so does California. Both governors have said so. So they need cases to decrease. And in order for cases to decrease, it's really easy to get that number to happen if people just stop getting tested. In an interesting coronavirus, one of the few things that you could get that could kill you that you didn't know you had until you get tested for. Interesting. But in any case, that's what's going on now. And it's being propped up by who? It's being propped up by media. I don't know how much longer. I don't know if this video will be taken down because I'm saying I'm basically pointing out that a lot of the response to what we've seen in the past year, you're going to find out sooner or later. You're going to find out that a lot of it was overblown and unnecessary. A lot of what you're seeing is still overblown and unnecessary. It became really frightening when the coronavirus or COVID-19 or the Chinese flu or whatever you're calling it became a couple of things. It became a weapon that could be used against Donald Trump. And it was. Let's just be honest. It was. It was a weapon that was used against Donald Trump. And it was also, it became an industry. People were making money off of COVID. Not just in masks and that kind of stuff, but when hospitals were getting more money for COVID patients, when doctors were getting paid more to treat COVID patients, it became an industry. When labs were getting paid to run millions of COVID tests, people didn't do that for free. People didn't do that out of the goodness of their heart and because they love people. No, they did that because they were getting paid, and they were getting paid quite handsomely. They were getting the big bucks. The big rats were getting the big cheese. So when it became an industry, and that industry had to be propped up, and the only way it could be propped up by making sure that you and I were still running around in our masks, really afraid that we were sanitizing everything. We were sanitizing, and we were masking up, and we had gloves on and face masks, and we were afraid. Now, before I get to the next section of this video, I want to say this to all the fact checkers that are going to show up on this video, and there will be numerous fact checkers. COVID-19 is dangerous. It's like lightning. Let me explain it. It's like lightning. And if you're from where I am in the country, you'll understand that. It's hard or harder to get hit by lightning. But if you get hit by lightning, it's a good chance it could be devastating. You know what I'm saying? If you are in a certain age group, if you have certain comorbidities and you catch a bad case of the Rona, it could be lights out. just gonna say it. Be lights out. That is true. At the same time, if you have certain comorbidities and you get hit with bacterial pneumonia, it could be lights out. It could be curtains. And how do I know that? Got bacterial pneumonia. Way before Rona time. Cardiac patient, undiagnosed blockage, hypertension. I'm a little chubby. I'm a little chubby, right? All some of the comorbidities they talk about. I don't have diabetes, praise the Lord, but we're talking about a number of comorbidities. I got bacterial pneumonia, and it damn near took me out. That's the truth. That's documented. So there are a lot of things, if you are already sick, or if you're already dealing with something that can show up in your life and be like lightning. You could be tootling along, thinking you're just fine, and all of a sudden, lights out. And Rona can be one of those things. Coronavirus, COVID-19, Chinese, Hong Kong flu, all that stuff. Whatever you want to call it, I don't care what you call it. But you have to. Okay, now back to how media is controlling all of this conversation. It may even control this conversation. Now that there are, you remember hydrochloroquine? Remember that? Hydrochloroquine was for Bolton, right? For Bolton. Even after people started seeing that, and doctors were saying, hey, we use this. It works. It's a therapeutic. Some people say it's not a cure, but it works. Lessens symptoms. Stops people from dying. It was for Bolton. It was. Hydroxychloroquine was one of those things that the media showed up and said, it's stupid, and any of those doctors that showed up on your YouTube or Facebook screen were shut down, shut out. You didn't get to hear that conversation. You weren't, and you want to speak of it. You should never speak of it again. Right? Didn't that make you go, why? Didn't you ask yourself, why? If so many people think it works, why would you shut that down? Shouldn't we be talking about it? Should we be really figuring out? It doesn't work. I told you it doesn't. In my other job, I met somebody who said that they had the Rona, Hong Kong flu, COVID-19 coronavirus, and their doctor put them on a regimen of of hydroxychloroquine, and it worked. And this was a stranger who came up to me and told me this. And I don't have any documentation. I don't have any, but there was no reason for that person to lie to me, I guess, or maybe there was. But that wasn't the first case. And I heard that there were, we all heard that there were hospitals and they were using it as part of their deal when people came in with the Rona, COVID-19, coronavirus, Hong Kong flu, whatever you're calling it. And they were getting the Z-Pak and the hydroxychloroquine, and it was working. Right? And then there were other therapeutics that showed up, and then we stopped talking about hydroxychloroquine. You shall never speak in that name again. Right? Media shut it down. What we're going to talk about basically in this series is how media is controlling pretty much the entire conversation, pretty much about everything, and what we can do about it. So I'm not going to wrap this up in any way that makes it a nice, neat bow, because I wanted to be a little open-ended. I want you to write comments in the comment section about how you think mainstream media is how responsible they are for a lot of what we're seeing. Now I'm going to tell you, this is not a pro anti-Trump or pro or anti-Biden, and basically, if you are stuck there, if you're stuck with pro-Trump, anti-Trump, pro-Biden, anti-Biden, if you're stuck there, it is media that is applying the glue to your feet. Let's think a little bit more out of the box. My name is Willie Lawson of FightBackMedia.com. FightBackMedia.com. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.